Carnage is one of those Spider-Man villains that, to me, is an essential in a Spidey shelf, or a Marvel shelf, or whatever it is that you put in a shelf together. Carnage being one of Spidey's most maniacal supervillains, next to Norman Osborn, of course. Nope, I don't have a gobby. So let's cut to the chase. The Venom movies are by far some of my favorites in the past few years, just due to how ridiculous they are, from Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie Brock in Venom to those damn tater tots and chocolate. Don't forget Sonny and Cher. Like a turd in the wind, Carnage made his silver screen debut in Venom There Be Carnage, which dialed everything up by 11 and is my favorite of the two, even though I saw it only once. Anyways, to the reason why you're even watching. Marvel Legends Venom 2 Carnage is my very first figure of Carnage, which is surprising as I like to think I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I barely got a definitive Spidey, Venom, and Carnage this year. This Carnage is a beaut with his paint and sculpting. He is also a big figure that he easily could have been a Build-A-Figure, but I'm glad they decided not to do that because it probably would have been a wave of bullshit figures I do not care about. The paint is pretty simple and is effective, giving us close enough blemishes of the CG model with all the charcoal colored paint all over his torso from front to back, then onto the arms and legs from all sides. The heads are where more paint shows itself, of the almost silver white in the eyes and those damn yellow teeth. The alternate head includes the same paint with the addition of pink for the iconic symbiote tongue. Also, because of how the charcoal paint is applied, it really makes it seem like Carnage has a shitload of chest hair. Unfortunately, I can relate. The paint on the hands and accessories is a little bare bones. The hands have a patch of paint and on one side of the alternate hand. Luckily, the blade was blessed with both sides being painted. The sculpt feels great to the touch, being covered in ridges, muscle, tendrils, and pointiness, if you couldn't tell from the swords, all over his body. He looks both bony and muscular at the same time due to how he's proportioned, being an enlarged and stretched out humanoid. Carnage is also filled with tendrils hanging out all over his arms and legs to spice up the visuals on the left and right sides. Of course, the elephant in the room is the large tendrils on his back. They have a bendy wire inside each and every one of them to really add expression to your poses, and a lot of balancing issues because his feet aren't big enough to support the weight, which makes me use some of the tendrils as supports. Also, each tendril is sculpted uniquely. The head sculpts are pretty neat, of being Carnage from the movie Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The first head is certainly a devilish smile, but come on, we're here for the tongue, which the second head provides, and check out that wicked mouth with the open gaps showing his gnashers and slimy tongue only Venom could rival. Carnage's accessories are alternate hands that are much more exciting than the claw hands, with a lovely sculpted hole in both of them, but don't compare it to a blade coming out of your middle finger to really stab the bird in ya. The next accessory is a big ass sword that is such a Carnage thing that it's weird when Venom can do it, like with the Fortnite pickaxes. Alright, so let's do the articulation for Carnage. I took the tendrils off because they will get in the way, so let's just get it over with. We got a double ball peg going on for the neck, so we can look this far up, which isn't crazy, but I mean, it's okay. Look all the way down, so you can look down at his enemies. I think, actually the ranges might be different from this head and the other head. No, they look about the same, never mind. Well, of course you can get that gorgeous tilt. Then the arms, swivel all the way around. They are ratcheted. It's like a soft ratchet because, well, I mean, I can feel it. It's also a soft ratchet going outwards. So let's make sure we get him in that T-pose. Oh my god. Then we got a bicep swivel. Then, of course, double jointed elbows, which I always enjoy. I know some people like their single jointed elbows, but I think that, I guess it depends on the figure. The ranges of a single jointed elbow because most of the time it kind of sucks, but other times it's as deep as this, but it's whatever. Next we got a wrist swivel and a hinge. Also like to point out that on the sword hand, it hinges very similarly to like a trigger finger hand on like a G.I. Joe figure. It seems like I always bring up a G.I. Joe figure whenever I talk about like how a hand hinges, which, I mean, can you blame me? They all use guns in G.I. Joe. Next we got a diaphragm joint and an ab crunch, which is my favorite combo, my one true pairing. So here's the ab crunch on its own going forward. Going back, you can really arc his back. And then the ab crunch this far forward. Let me make sure I straighten this out. So the ab crunch only. Going forward, going back, and of course with both, really arc his back and really forward. Next are the hips. So the leg goes that far forward, it's not crazy. And going backwards, it can kind of go backwards. Make sure you look at that Carnage butt. But yeah, he's got like a shriveled ass. Do the splits. It's not like crazy splits like Elvira, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world for me, to be honest, because he's a big toy. He's more than likely just going to be standing there in a cool idle pose. Next you get a hip, a thigh swivel. I don't know why I forgot the words. Which is, yeah. Then you got double jointed knees, which, what am I supposed to say to that? Oh yeah, also I just realized he's pinless. That's how pointless the pins being there or not is. Next, the feet, the hinge that far back and that far forward, which isn't, or is that literally just the same? Yeah, it's just slightly upward. Then don't forget about the ankle pivot, or the ankle tilts, because I'm not Shartimus Prime. Obviously you can stand perfectly fine without the tendrils because they're not on his back. Also, I don't know if you remembered when I said it earlier in the video, they are bendy wire, but also because the plastic's so thick, they can also be a pain in the ass to like pose around, but it's whatever. Also, this swivels, and then you go to the other double tendril, this swivels. I didn't include that anywhere else in the video, so I guess this was the perfect time to do so. That is Marvel Legends Venom, There Be Carnage Carnage. I hate when the character's name is in the title, because then it's just repeating yourself like the Deep Kids in Deep Trouble. This figure is good, don't come at me now. I do like everything about this figure, everything it accomplishes, all the sculpting and paint of course. Besides the balancing issues, which I probably should have seen coming, because as you would see from the Elvira video, heavy plastic does not agree with small feet. I plan to get a movie Venom to go with this Carnage, but it's not really a top priority, but someday for sure. Especially since I have this Venom, which I don't agree about locking a major character like Venom, for example, behind an exclusive, but this figure also wasn't that hard for me to get, so I guess my point is irrelevant. Hopefully one day we will see Carnage again on the big screen and a bit more closer to his comic self, as in not towering over Venom. But if we never do see him again, I'm extremely grateful we got to see him at least once in the ridiculously funny Venom movies. Now to have a last dance with the best part of Sony's Spider-Man related films. No, I'm not watching the other ones. Anyways, that's another video in the books. I'll see you in the next video, whatever and whenever it may be, because as I've been saying, making videos is an interesting hobby.